Okay. Are you ready for your level 9?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what I like to hear. All right, so same thing as last time. You go up and you click on the little screen share button, and then you're going to tell me a little bit about the images and what went into making them and anything you do or don't like about it, and then I'm going to grade you on a scale of 1 to 3.
Okay, give me a second because last time I think you screen shared it, but I can pull them up real quick.
Cool. Yeah, that's because Google was hating me in different things.
Right. I think that when I did mine in my other group when I was doing it, I pulled them up, and then I expected to pull them up with you last time, but then you pulled them up, so now I'm gonna get them up. So let me see. All right, this is a pain in the ass. You should see my one monitor. It's like on the fritz, and it's like so I can't put anything in there because it just shakes.
Nice. Well, I'm letting you know right now, like I'm nursing like a wicked case of the flu, so if you see me like turning my camera and my mic off, I'm still paying attention and just blowing my nose, which is really attractive.
All right. I like my kitty. What's your cat's name?
Sweetie.
Sweetie.
She adopted us. She just came one day and never left. It's kind of like my husband. All right, so tell me about your images. I love this one.
Yeah, I like this one too. I used to shoot a lot on kind of clean white and clean black backdrops, and I was like aggravated with some of the stuff that I was getting. Although it was good and the light was clean and it was fine, but I decided I would go out and get a backdrop, and so I did, and this was kind of the first test that I did with it. And I also, as we talked about, overly fixate on my lighting, and I wanted to
Mhm.
just try to bring it down a notch. And so I think this was a one light setup. Um, and so she has this crazy long hair, and so we were just really going through a bunch of flips and different things, and so that was. And then I did some textures on this in post, as you can kind of see around the edges of the image. I love the look in her face. This is way warmer than I normally post process and shoot. Like usually I like bring a lot of the warmth out and make everything cold, and I kind of like this. So anyway, that's where I am with this.
I love this image. Did you have this up the last one, or were we looking at this on your website? I feel like this one's really familiar.
Yes, at the end, or maybe after we shut down the last Google Hangout, you asked me about some of my recent stuff, and so I was
Um,
talking about my kind of shift in the direction, and so I pulled this up, and then you yelled at me for not bringing it into.
that's what I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure I yelled at you for not including this one before, because this is one of my favorite ones I've seen by you. I love the feeling of it. I love the emotion that she's giving. It has a very painting-like quality that I find very, very attractive. Um, as far as critique and room for improvement, her neck is up just a little bit high for me, that it's creating a very strong angle on her neck, and women are all about flowing lines, so that kind of angular look, I think could have been touched up just a little bit in post just to soften it.
I think I did touch. I gotta look at the original image. I think I did touch it up some because it was even more dramatic, but I couldn't kind of get it the way I wanted it. But it did soften it up a little bit. But I agree. I see that.
Um, but it's not killing it for me. It's just a little bit. Same thing, like it's a little bit turned up so that we're kind of looking up her nose, which is never like the most attractive thing. But that's really, really hard to control when you're playing with hair movement and you're having her actually move and you're stopping it. So I think it's forgivable in this case. Um, it looks like with the strain of the front of the shirt that she was probably holding it with her hands and pulling the fabric down. Um, which can be really beneficial, but you have it so that it's getting pulled down directly in front of her, so you're getting, again, this very strong line when women are all about curves. Um, so if you had had her grip it but to the side, it would have accentuated her figure a little bit more and been a little bit more flattering. But again, it's not ruining it for me. They're just little things that you can use to really um, really accentuate the image and take it forward to exceptional. That said, I love the tonal qualities of it and the coloring. It's got um, this very muted old 19th century oil painting thing that I really, really adore about it. And I do love her emotion, and I love the flowing hair off of it. There's one at the very top of her head that does this big loop thing. That one's bugging me. I would probably edit that one out and probably just soften like the bump to the back of her head a little bit and blend it in a little bit more. But overall, I think this is a really beautiful image. I think it's one of the best that I've seen from you, so I'm going to give you a 3. I think it's exceptional for where you're at right now and some of the other images that I'm seeing. This is one of my favorites from you.
Great. Ready for the next one?
Absolutely. Okay, tell me about this one.
Okay, so I put 2 of these in here, just because I like them, and it's really kind of the direction that I think that I want to go. The negative of it is that this was from the workshop that I went to, and so like I didn't have a lot of say in terms of the styling and the so basically I got to manipulate some of the lights and move things around a little bit to get it where I wanted to, but really a lot of it was like in post processing, which is probably why I included it. So this was a shot with a beauty dish and a reflector to the side. Beauty dish right and reflector to the side. I was really trying to make this, it's almost like a product shot. I tried to make this less about her, and so I liked kind of her dead stare away, because I tend to love that look, but to me it ended up bringing me down to her necklace. If I critique, there's a lot of things I critique myself, but the really washed out brightness on the pendant itself, where it's so bright that you can't really see the pendant almost. You see what I'm talking about on the top. And then the dress is a little bit loose for her. She has much of a chest, and so it's kind of pulled away a little bit. But yeah. But anyway, so I like this image.
I like this one too. Again, I'm starting to see a lot of consistency in your retouching with the color tones that you're choosing. And your skin tones. I like the faraway look in this. It definitely looks like product and editorial commercial work to me. I agree with you about the dress. We're really not flattering her, and part of that is body language too. So she's obviously a very slender girl. When I'm looking to make girls look more slender, I'm doing that pose and pulling them forward so that you're getting the line of their collarbones, because when somebody's super skinny, what do you say? She's all bones. So by accentuating that, it's sort of a subliminal message that they're thinner than they are. So a lot of times I'll work with that. But when you have girls that are really, really skinny to begin with, you don't want to accentuate that quite as hard because it's there naturally for them. So with you pulling her shoulders way, way forward, it's actually making her look a little bit too thin, I think, to where we're seeing more prominent protrusion from her shoulders than we are from her chest. So I would have liked to have seen you actually pull them back a little bit, and by doing that naturally, it would have pushed her chest up and filled out the dress a little bit better.
Yeah, I have a series of these, and I just pulled this one out immediately, and I haven't really edited any except for 2 images from this workshop, because I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with them, so I don't want to waste a lot of time messing with them. But yeah, I should go back and look and see if I have something. I love the look in her face in this. I just love her kind of like dead stare away. So
I do love her face in this. I think that some of the flyaways on the side, on the far side of her face, are a little bit distracting. I think it'd actually be cleaner if you pulled them away from the side of her face and just left them up in her actual hair.
here,
Yeah, right there. Yeah, those ones they would have gotten edited out for me. But she does have great expression. I do love the necklace. You do go right to it. It is a little bit hot on the pendant, but it doesn't kill it for me. Maybe if I was the designer and it was actually a product shop, but it still draws you right into that. So I still think this is a really good image for you. There were a couple of things you could have did that I think would have taken it to the top for me, but I'm going to give you a 2. I think it's commendable. It's a high 2. It's almost there, just not quite.
okay. Okay. Um, this one's kind of, if you look at all five of them together, this one's kind of the one that's out there, but I kind of like the editorial feel of this. This is Santa Monica Pier, completely impromptu. This was actually, I was in LA prior to going to London, so I was in State College. I went to LA for 2 days, and then before I got on my plane in LA, I was tweeting with this person that I had shot before, Kelly, and she said, "Hey, let's shoot again." So at sunrise on Santa Monica Pier, about 4 hours before my flight to go to London from LA, which was a hell of a flight, we went and we shot a few different looks. And this is, I think I used my 24 to or my 700 lens, and it's probably almost a 200. And I just kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of liked it. It definitely doesn't really fit with a lot of my stuff in my port, but this was something that I liked, so I included it.
Mm. I can see the appeal of why you like it. It's got great depth of field that you're definitely focused on her and nothing else. And I kind of like the dappled light on her, and the natural feel of that. It gives it a very serene story to the image that I like. I don't think it's as strong as your other work. You know, it looks similar to a really great lucky shot that you would get while you were on vacation of, a friend or a family member that you were with. There's nothing about this image that is really jumping out to me that says that it's a professional um, capture and that it was staged that way purposefully for the sake of the shoot. Um, Her styling's pretty. I do love the expression on her face and the body language. If you had her stretch the arm that is closest to the camera a little bit further, we would have seen a little bit of space between the lower part of her arm and her back, and that would have slenderized her a little bit. Or in contrast, if you had her pull that elbow in, it would have accentuated it the other way and had her back line a little more angled. So I think we'd lost a little bit of her figure in that. Same thing with the other arm. If you had that stretched out and away, um, we're just kind of condensing everything with her body. There's no separation between any of her limbs. She's just literally this one stick of white from her shoulders down to her feet. So I'm always looking for those separations. You should never have your limbs glued together into the body. Um, I think it would have been a little bit stronger if you'd had her actually come up on her toes and kind of lean over a little bit more. It would have put some tension in her. Um, and the light on whatever the building is behind her, I think, distracts from her a little bit because it's the same color and tonality as her face. So your eye wants to jump from her back to that, even though it is out of focus. I think if you didn't have the shallow depth of field, it would be competing too much to be the center of the image. So I like it. It's a nice shot, but it's just a nice shot. There's nothing amazing about it. It wouldn't make your portfolio for me at this point, and especially with the storyline and what we're seeing in your other images, it's not fitting, so it's going to dilute the potency of the impact that you have. So I'm going to give this one a 1. I think that it shows promise. It's a nice image, but it wouldn't make your portfolio right now for me.
Yep, I would agree with that. So I don't have any complaints about a one. It wasn't a zero. Okay. Um, all right. I'm interested to hear what you say about this one. Actually, this one's I don't even know why I picked it. There's just something about her eyes, and I started looking back at all of my um, images that I'm really drawn to, and they all have this kind of like um, weird emptiness in the look and the eyes, and there's this like emotion that I see in it. And I don't know if anybody else does that or not, but anyway, this was really just like, I mean, we have so many better shots from this that would be more, um, planned and posed, but this one was kind of just that innocent capture. Again, a different backdrop with a single light to the right, and so um, there's no hair and makeup. There was nothing on this shoot. It was just her and I. So I don't know why. There's like such a simpleness about this that I like it. But maybe that we'll hear what you have to say.
No, I definitely get what you're saying, and I like the simplicity of it too. Um, I think sometimes that when you forgo a lot with the hair and the makeup and the wardrobe and everything else going on that usually goes into the shot, you're left with just the essence of the person and it comes through more prominently. And I think that's what's happening here. I don't think that she has a dead look in her eyes at all. I think it's very almost melancholy. Um,
Maybe that's what I mean by it. I mean, that's kind of like when I look at the pictures I like. That maybe I'm just not describing it right, but that I don't know. There's just something in there to me that pulls me into her. Like I want to know her story. Like I want to know what's going on.
yes, that's what we're looking for, and that is absolutely the key to portraiture, and you're definitely accomplishing it in this shot. It's the Mona Lisa effect. It's that why can't I stop looking at this woman? What is it about her? Because she's not, it's not designed to be incredibly artistic or sexy or, there's nothing that's being really thrown at you. It's such a quiet and simple seduction of the senses, and you just want to keep looking at it. Um, I think that her shirt is distracting. There's an awful lot of texture to it. I would have gone in and softened that digitally, um, and just faked a little bit more of a shallow depth of field. And I would have probably cropped it higher too, probably right to her collarbone to make it a portrait. Right now, because it's so white and it's so textured and it's taking up half of your frame, it's just competing with her face. So I would go in and I would cut that above the bust line. I think that would make it a stronger image. I love her expression in this, and I love um, the very simplistic beauty of it. Um, she's separated enough from the background that it doesn't bother me. We lose a little bit on the edge of right above her ear where she kind of fades in, but that might be my screen too. Um, but I do really love this shot. I do think that it's deviating just a little bit away, but I actually think that if you cropped it higher, it would make your portfolio for me because I do think it's really strong, and I'm starting to see you really getting intrinsically connected to your models on a level that a lot of photographers really struggle to connect with. So I would definitely want to see that on your website. So I'm going to give you a really high two. It didn't quite hit the same mark as your first two, but I still think that it's a really strong image for you as far as portraiture goes. So it's definitely commendable.
Okay, thanks. I think this is the last one. Okay, so again, this is the second one from that workshop, and this one to me was like I really enjoyed the post processing on it because that was probably the most I got out of the workshop was post processing. It was like I tend to overuse or I get really lazy and I use things like portraiture and the skin's too soft. And there were a few tips and things that I learned here, but I also kind of started to appreciate less of that smoothness and more of the texture. So the post processing on this was the one that I really liked. I think from the shooting, the lighting was set up. I adjusted some of the reflectors to have it a little bit darker than how they had it set up. Um, but yeah, I just again, it's that kind of look in their eye, that steely, just like I don't know, that look that tend to see in the ones that I like of my own. Um, so yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear you recognizing what it is that is making these image carry potency for you. And I totally agree. Like you do have it in every single one of these shots, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with. You have to have this kind of intensity in the connection. Otherwise, it comes off as a little bit blasé, like it's missing something. It didn't quite hit the mark, and you are killing it with the expression. in every single one of these. Um, I love the coloring and the tonality. The retouching on this is beautiful. I love that we kept some of the, like the freckled texture that everybody loves redheads for, because I've seen a lot of people that completely get rid of that, and you're keeping a lot of those warm tones in her skin, which I really like. The styling's flawless. It's beautiful, and I'm loving the dichotomy of the wardrobe as well. She has this very stoic kind of feel to her, and I think it's a really really strong image that she would be really happy to keep in her portfolio. I love that we got the little triangle space between the arm and her back line. That's what I was talking about in the other one. Her mouth is just a little bit tight, but not enough that it ruins it, because her look is so strong that you could argue that that was intentional. But I would have liked to have seen her soften it just a little, especially with her cheekbones being so pronounced. I think it would have just accentuated it, because when you start to really tighten your lips, then you start to get that mean girl look that nobody wants to be known for. There's one little flip of her hair in the back that's not following the line that I would probably edit out on her left-hand side. Yeah, that one right there. I would edit that one out, and I would probably smooth the line on the other side of her hair because it looks a little bit unkept right there. I would just give that a nice clean line because her hair is so sleek on top and on the other side. It just looks like, you know, like somebody was playing with it beforehand. So, but those are really my only critiques. Overall, it's a really, really fabulous image. I'm still going to give you a 3 for this one. I think that we're seeing remarkable improvement in you, and this would absolutely be portfolio worthy for me.
Okay.
Well done.
Thanks.
I think it's safe to say you passed.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Maybe the next critique I'll have pictures from the Jessica Lark workshop.
That would be so awesome. I'm going to be super, super hard on those ones, though.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Maybe I'll leave those out.
Okay, so you have now finished your level 9, which means you're getting ready to go on to Sphere 1. So let's talk a little bit about where you've come from your level 4 critique to now and where you're looking to go.
Well, from me, I've been shooting and kind of dabbling and doing things in a haphazard way. Like I like to experiment with this and experiment with that for the last probably 3 years. And I've always get to critique, and I always know that it's like, well, you're all over the place. There's no defined, style that you have. And I think that from my standpoint, especially in the last month, as soon as my students left and I had time to sit down and think about it, I'm rebuilding my website now. I really started taking a hard look at all of the images that I have and what I'm drawn to. And I don't really care what other people find great about it, because I think if I start shooting a style that's consistent and that I am really passionate about, that people are either going to get on board or they're not. And again, because
Bravo! 10 points for you for that one. Say that again.
yeah, so I guess the summary is I'm finding my own style, and I'm finding what I like and what I'm passionate about. And so, like I said, if other people they don't like it, then they don't have to be. But my guess is if I'm really passionate about it, they will get on board and be passionate about it as well. So.
Absolutely. There's so many photographers, not that I would ever do this or ever did this in my life, but there's so many that struggle to make themselves marketable because they're trying to do this professionally and because we want to be liked, and artists are never moody or oversensitive. And so we're constantly trying to fit into what we think we're supposed to be. And we have to kind of untrain ourselves. So I'm really glad that I don't have to do that with you.
Yeah, I think the benefit from 4 to 9 now, and in talking to you and having other people in the group critique things and look at it is, I always thought like, oh, I want to do this and I want to be thought of as a professional. And after from 4 to 9, and especially last month, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I'm an amateur photographer that loves what I do, and I love what I do outside of photography. I mean, I'm in my office right now. I love my job. So I kind of embrace that between 4 and 9, and I'm like, you know what? it is what it is. I don't have to define it as being like, well, I have to fake being a professional or anything. I mean, I'm not. I do this because I love it, and great. If people like it, they'll like it, and if they don't, I don't care because I don't have to make money off of it.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that I think sometimes people forget like there's so much pressure on them to, which I totally get because I do this full time. Like it's a wonderful thing to have the thing that you want to do in your free time be the thing that makes you money because that means you get to do it all day long. That's a great thing. If you have another job that you love, there should be no pressure to have you making money at your art be the pillar that we're judging your successfulness or your your talent by. I know a ton of photographers that are you know amateur photographers that do not do it professionally because all professional means is that you're making your money at it. That's it. You're getting paid for it. I know a ton of photographers that are incredibly talented that do not make their income from it, and I know a ton of photographers that make their income from it that are nothing special.
Yeah.
So, and I agree with you. Like your work is really good, and it's better than some professionals I know. So, if you can find what it is that really lights you on fire, that will resonate with people that moves, and that will create a following that may be smaller and more niche, but it will be so strong and they will be such loyal fans of your work that I think that that's actually a lot stronger than having a huge following because you're kind of catering to what you think is the most marketable to everyone. So good,
I could just
good
shoot
on you.
lots of naked girls if I wanted to shoot what was going to give me the most Instagram followers. you know, I think
Hey, hey.
no, I'm not saying you. I love the work that you do, and I love doing some of that too. But like I see that I'm drawn and pulled into a lot of different areas. What I need to do is, even if I'm going to do that, like I've gone through one of my homework assignments was kind of like to come up with, how do I define my style? And I still haven't done that, but I kind of have broken it off into two groups. There's kind of the style that you saw today, that really is kind of like I call it like a sexy glamour and edgy fashion type look, and there's still that boudoir and lingerie stuff that I love doing. I mean, but they don't overlap entirely. I mean, they can come together a little bit, but so I still see two divergent styles, but I still think that I can focus in on each one independently and not have them kind of just all over the place. Like, ooh, I just ripped my earphone out. Um, like I have been, like so. And the other.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I think too that part of the reason that we're always looking to define style is because most people are looking to do it professionally. So either they're appealing to their clients or they're looking for potential buyers of the art, and sometimes the message gets diluted as to what it is you're actually offering or who you are. Um, so if you're in a place where you have a job that you really love and that is providing for your lifestyle and this is a creative outlet for you, then by all means explore and see different areas and find, where your passion lies in your artistry. And be bold and be creative and be willing to explore to the far ends. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think that we find a lot of our artistic voice in those journeys.
Yeah, and there's no doubt I'll continue over the next, you know, however many years, and I'm sure it'll morph a little bit. But I think that, you're getting towards the end of a year, calendar year, and this December period where I have some freedom to kind of take a step back from work um, and rethink some things. And so I think that, I'm working on some workflow in terms of, my editing process and kind of trying to mix it up and not be so lazy in the editing. And, I think that I have a piece of paper with a lot of words and things on it that I was writing down today. I think I'm going to try and stick to that and see if I can put some actual effort into that without diverging too much into too many different things. This year I'm going to actually try and give it a year to see if I can, continue to get good at what I like to do and not keep experimenting and getting so many.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we're moving into Sphere 1 now. So the people that are in Sphere 1, each one of them made a choice right now. in their level 9s, where they could continue to follow the pre-designed Arcanum um, sphere guide with the leveling, which is more of what you've been doing in the foundation levels, just a little bit more intense and advanced. Or what we can do is we can create basically a 10-level guide that sort of helps you branch out and away from everybody else and towards your path, which may be really beneficial for you because you're one of the few that's like, no, I really love my job. I'm doing this because I want to explore my art and understand and get better. And, you know, so money is secondary for you, where a lot of people are putting that as a priority for them. So which sounds more appealing to you?
That's a good question. I thought that the choices were to continue in the same thing we did or go towards maybe trying to be a master, and that's what I thought the choices were. So I was like, oh, I'm just going to stay in the idea that I'm going to continue on in the same realm. But the way you just described it, it sounds like maybe the second one.
Okay.
I don't know.
So
I didn't do enough homework in terms of what's next. I've just been focused on like what level I am now. But based on what you said, it seems like
aren't you a teacher?
I am. That's what I've been too busy doing is teaching.
And you're a teacher and you're not doing your homework? All your kids get a free homework day tomorrow
They're all gone.
from your teacher.
Yeah. So I thought that the two options were you go on a path to be a master, you go on a path to continue down the road you were going.
That is also a third path, but it's in conjunction. So the people that are interested in becoming the masters at the Arcanum are doing that simultaneously while they're still studying as the apprentice. But from the apprentice perspective, two paths diverge in the wood here, and you have to decide which one to take. So most of the cohorts are following levels 11 through 20, and the headmasters may or may not have pulled me aside and let me know that while I was hired as a level Sphere 3 master, that I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself with Sphere 1, but I have high expectations for you all, so I'm going to do it anyway. So if I could wave my little magic Arcanum fairy wand and get you exactly to where you wanted to be because you're with me for another 10 levels, what is the ideal scenario for you walking out the door at level 20? What would you like to say that you have accomplished and are ready to go pursue?
Wow. Well, I want to continue to hone in on what it is that I love and make that better. I mean, that's what I want to do in levels 10 through 20. I think by the time I get to 20, you kind of mentioned it. I am an educator. That's what I do. Despite me not doing my homework with you, I am very well organized, and I could definitely see as I started getting to a point where I felt comfortable with my work and my style and my just body of work in general, I could definitely see an interest in trying to be involved at a master level with the Arcanum. I love the idea of this as an educational platform, and it's been great so far. I mean, just interacting with the other apprentices and with the masters, and it's been great. I love the concept behind it, and as somebody who does education for a living, and tries to motivate without being an asshole, I think that I could definitely be. This could be something that I could devote a lot of time to and be really interested and passionate about. Because again, I don't have to worry about the money aspect. I know that from something like Natalie, who you took over one of her groups, like when you're making money and doing things, sometimes these types of things can get in the way of that and take a lot of time. Where I don't have that burden, so I could definitely be involved in that, but not now, that's for sure.
Not now. You don't think so?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think there's still so much that I want to kind of learn about myself.
Okay, well, let's talk
from
about that.
I could do it, but from the standpoint of me, this is about me. I'm paying for the Arcanum. I want to continue to learn before I decide to give back.
Well, that's the awesome part about it. Like when they move, I mean, they picked some of us to be higher level masters, but since we were just beginning, we'd have been sitting up there twiddling our thumbs waiting for you guys to get up to level 30 and level 40. So a lot of us, even though we're supposed to be at higher spheres, asked to take on lower cohorts just to, get everybody up and move them up and train some of the new masters. So, but we all get to keep learning as well and studying under each other because there are so many talented masters in so many different genres of photography and areas of expertise from, you know, retouching and to landscape to portraiture to business to publication to printing to, film development. Like everybody is just so in their own little niche and their own amazing like little bubble of awesome, that there's a lot for all of us to learn. So most of us as masters are still working as students in other cohorts too. Um, so that's not going to impede on it. But with wanting to be a master and feeling like you're not quite there yet, at level 20, if you were going to take on at level 21 to start training as master, what do you feel that you have to focus on and have to overcome still in order to do that? What do you need more practice with?
Um, that's a good question. I think that I probably need more practice. God damn this stupid thing! I keep popping it out. The cords are like all under my desk and they're a mess. I think I need more practice at visualizing what looks good and what doesn't, and what more like critiquing other people's work. Um, I see it a lot because we're not trained. I'm not trained as as somebody does critiquing. I just know what I like and what I don't, but I'm oftentimes not articulate about that in terms of providing, you know, reliable, or not even reliable, but just like effective feedback
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. So that to me, I think would be something I definitely need to work on. And I've tried. I look at other people's work, and then I've seen the critiques, and I try and see what some of the masters are saying. But I hit that 4 week period shortly after we started working together, or 8 week period where my students were here, and that really is a crunch. Like when that happens, I go silent for a little while. So now this month I'm getting back into it. I'm going back and watching a lot of the videos, but I think that's one area that I need to improve upon from a standpoint. If I thought, hey, what would make a good master? Um, that's probably the biggest one. I feel like the time, the dedication, the interest is there. It's more about finding a style that I would want to be a master of. Um,
Mm-hmm.
is it a general group? Is it a very intro group that's all over the place? That would be something that I would have to decide. But I think that really the big thing for me is learning some of the fundamentals on critiquing other people's work, and not just going, oh, I really like that one, and now I don't like this one. Like, what about it? What is it? And I think if I did that in the next 10 levels, it's definitely going to help me in my work, and picking out some of these things like that you talked about when you looked at my portfolio today. So I see that as a win-win. I'm going to learn myself, but then also learn because I can potentially use that in the future.
Okay. And what would you like to focus on with your artistry specifically, with you still as a student?
Sorry, did you hear that? Do you hear that ding? It's my ding, and my something must be coming up. But the main thing for me, I think, is still working on honing in on a style. I think one of the things that I do, I get lazy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I get lazy in terms of I do a lot of preparation for the shoot, but because it's not paid, I don't usually have hair and makeup, and I don't have a lot of people, and so I'm just like, show up and we'll see what you have, and then we'll shoot. Whatever you bring and whatever you look like, that's what we're gonna shoot. I think that what I need to do is start focusing on the work and making it more about okay, here's the plan, here's what we're gonna do. Um, maybe bringing in with the shooting some props and some things that are gonna like help to improve the overall story of the image. I think that
Mm-hmm.
my images are like, yeah, it's clean, it's straight, but it's a girl on a backdrop. Where's the story? Where's the narrative with that? And I don't think I need to go crazy as far as the reliquarium in terms of the story. But I think that would improve my imagery. I don't know what levels 10 through 20 are. You know, I don't know how they're formulated to, you know.
Well, they have, the Arcanum actually has them pre-built. So the foundation levels from 0 to 20, you're with the master for 20 levels. After level 20, every sphere is a different master. So from 21 to 30, you'll be with someone. From 31 to 40, you'll be with someone. Only the first 20 levels. So they actually gave us a very general guide that we build off of. Like, you know, level 1 was supposed to be 5 images to introduce yourself, and it kind of gets you acquainted with us and us with you. And, you know, I adapted that and had the one image that defines you and what that said to other people before you told us what you wanted it to say. So if, you know, if you want to continue following and you feel like the Arcanum and the first 10 levels have been really beneficial, then you can just follow the 10 levels from 11 to 20 that the Arcanum has already laid out, and we'll just personalize them a little bit. You'll see when you get in there, though, I think what we're going to do is we'll just table it for a couple of days, and you can go in and you can see the Sphere 1 maps, because the way that Sphere 1 is built right now, when you go in, instead of seeing level 11, level 12, level 13 in the classroom, it says Martin Hicks and, you know, Bruce Tomes. And so you will literally have a name, and everything is personally built for them. So Martin's path for 10 levels is totally different than Tom's or David's or Nicole's or Monica's. Everybody has their own based on where they're trying to grow. So the first 10 foundation levels were the trunk. Now we're all branching out into our own directions based off of what it is we're trying to accomplish.
So is that the same regardless of the diversion that I go? I don't. Again, I'm confused.
No, it's totally up to you. If you decide to follow the 10 levels 11 through 20, then they're actually they're described in the leveling guide with the Arcanum, and that's what 90% of the other apprentices in all the cohorts are going through. So it would be very much like the foundation, the first 10 levels.
But it sounds like all of your apprentices are going a different direction.
Well, obviously, I never encourage individuality at all.
No, not at all. Hey, did you have a shortcut for your mute button? What's the shortcut?
Up at the top, there's all these little icons, and you'll see like a little person, and then right next to it is a little microphone, and you just click that, and it turns it off and on.
You use your mouse to click it. You know, I knew that. I just thought that there was I thought you just hit your space or something, that like you had like a one keyboard shortcut to mute yourself. I was like, oh, I want to know that.
No, it's just been sitting there because I'm so sick and I've been hitting mute like through our whole critique, so I'm not like coughing through half the critique. Super fun.
You know, as far as what you were saying though, in terms of the, you know, students that you had that are going to, you know, the individual style versus the, you know, 11 through 20, I think I'm going to benefit no matter what. So to me, I'm not overly concerned. I would like to know kind of like, you know, something about them, and maybe I can reach out to some of those that are in their current, you know, level sphere.
Well, now you are done level 9 and you've finished your critique. So at level 10, what you'll do is you will go and you will write me a review of your time in JLark and the Arcanum, what you love, what you don't like, and then you'll get invited to Sphere 1. And then once you're in there, you can really just kind of promenade around for a day or two and get a feel for what everybody else is doing, and then we can have another conversation and hang out and see where you want to go from there.
Okay.
But I do think that I think that your work is strong, and I think that your background in teaching is stronger. So I, you know, oddly enough, you were not one of the people that I was necessarily thinking was going to express interest in teaching, but I do think that you could go through the they call it the path of the protege, because when you're a apprentice in training to become a master, you take on the new title of protege. So I do think that you could be one of the candidates to do that, and do that alongside your 11 through 20 levels as an apprentice. And by the time you hit level 20, you would be ready to teach. Because you have to start it at a level 1 of the sphere. So level 11, level 21, level 31, and it coincides while you're learning as well. It's two separate classes that you're taking, basically.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but yeah, I would be interested in if they were simultaneous. I still want to continue to learn up, on my side, but understanding the background, the leveling, the protege aspect of it, I definitely think would be interested. It's totally different than when I started with this. I thought like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to learn, and that's going to be that. Um, but like I said, I really do love the concept of the Arcanum and everything about it. So to me, I think it would be. I wouldn't do it if I wasn't passionate about it. It's like my photography. Like I would just stop and go golf if I wasn't passionate about it.
Yeah.
So because it's not a money maker, but I really do like everything about this setup and this kind of learning system. So I would definitely be interested in going down that road.
Okay, so I want you to go in and let everybody congratulate you and tell you how good you did. And then I want you to look to level 10 and writing your review. Then we're going to move you up to Sphere 1. Ta-da! I'm so excited. And then we'll take a look around and we'll touch base in the next day or two and kind of get a feel for you there and see where you want to go.
Perfect. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
All right, John, I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.